So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, when you sit down at your desk, what are the steps you go through to actually sit down and make your trades? So let's start with it. The first one is look at the big picture. Before you do anything, look at what's happening in the global market and we'll look at what's happening in your country's market that you want to trade in. Secondly, check your list. So you should keep track of 10 to 20 different stocks at least that you want to monitor on a consistent basis and wait for the best opportunities to buy in. That is the reason that we did this technical analysis, was in the short term, a couple weeks to a couple months, looking for the best opportunities to get into the stock and then ride it out for the largest gains and exit at a profit. That was the entire goal of technical analysis and why we did all that research into short-term indicators. Next is check your strategy. Make sure that this trade lines up with your strategy and you know how much you're going to put into it and what risk you're willing to take with this trade. Fourth, make the trade. Actually execute it properly in the correct market with the correct currency and get in at a price you're happy with. Fifth, mitigate your risk. Put on a stop loss, put on a covered short, do different ways or diversify your portfolio so that you are mitigated in your risk in case your analysis is wrong. And lastly, plan for an exit. Actually plan to take profits from it. Where do you want to exit? Where are you willing to exit? And if your trade goes sour, where are you going to exit no matter what? So let's get into it. Let's start going through it. I'm going to show you my browser. Again, I use stockcharts.com. I've got the basic plan and it allows me to keep one list of different stocks. So these are the different ones that I look at, and I always start with this one, MS World. The reason I start with this is a world index. What that means is it's companies from all over the world, Europe, Australia, China, and different places around the world, except for the United States. So this index is a global world index except for the United States. The reason I pull the United States out is because they are such a large market. I'm going to look at the Dow Jones Industrial to represent the United States because that's also where I make most of my trades. So this is a world index that includes everything except for the United States. So this gives me a very good, clear indication of what's going on around the globe. And as you can see, it's similar to what's happening in the United States. We were very steady, and then beginning of March, end of February, we had a deep decline in the value here. We significantly came down and we're starting to come back out of it. We'll see if that continues or if we retest those lows. Now, when we look at the Dow Jones Industrial, this is the focus on the United States. So we've looked at the global economy. We have a good idea of what's happening there. Now, when we look at the United States economy, we can also see a very similar trend. So very steady growth all the way up until end of February, beginning of March. We plummet all the way down to 19,000. We start to build up and we'll see if we continue to build or if we retest those lows. Yesterday was a bad day for us. It looks like we could be on the way back down into a bearish trend. So going back to our checklist, we've now checked the big picture. Now we need to look at our trading strategy and our chart lists. So my chart lists are contained up here. I'm looking at about 30, maybe 35 different companies right now. Everything from technology to energy to consumer product goods to cannabis to what else? I even got Zoom, Walmart, Canopy Growth, Twitter. I got a little bit of everything on here. These are the companies that I'm interested in and the industries that I want to put my money into. So when we start looking at this, we've now started big. We've identified our chart list. These are the ones that I'm going to monitor and annotate. I'm going to put 5% of my position into one of these companies when I find the right opportunity. And in order to find the right opportunity, I'm going to sit down at my desk every day and I'm going to go through every chart and go through all of my annotations until I find something or an opportunity that I like. So I'm looking at Air Canada, nothing really here, not yet at least. I'm looking at Aurora Cannabis. This is still coming down and coming down. I do see a double bottom right here and a clear trend line coming down. So this could be an opportunity for a breakthrough, but the cannabis industry kind of scares me right now because of the last year has just been so terrible. So we're going to keep going here. I'm waiting for Amazon to load. This is an opportunity that I like, especially during COVID-19. People are still buying things. However, I did look on Prime and it looks like everything is going to take almost a month to be delivered. So I don't know how big of an impact that is going to have on sales, but we'll see what happens over time. We need this thing to load. Anyways, the idea here is started with the big picture. Now I'm going through my chart list and I'm seeing, are there any opportunities in the market that I want to get into right now? Is there any stock that is significantly undervalued or that is showing a pattern or that is touching a level of support or resistance that has a specific interest to me that I want to be in right away? Okay, we're just going to skip to it. This is the one that I've been looking at recently. This is Beyond Meat, and this is the chart that I want to go through. So imagine you'd gone through all these charts. We ended up at Beyond Meat. This is the one that I'm really interested in right now. So on the left, this was actually their IPO. This is when they started. This is when the company went public and raised their money. They came out at the 35, 36 kind of dollar ballpoint right there. That's why I put this red horizontal line at that initial IPO price. After that, we can see that they clearly climbed all the way up to almost $240. So a very, very significant and steady increase all the way up. And then we broke through support right in here in August of 2018. Now you can also see I drew a red horizontal line here as resistance on that high. This was the highest the stock had ever gone, so I drew a resistance line right there. Now I've got a bottom and a top to my channels basically. We can see the stock coming down. It kind of touches on this support line at the 140 here, and then it drops all the way down to this kind of 70 mark and consolidates for about 2 or 3 months. After that, it comes back up and it touches that 140 mark. Again, it consolidates for about 2 months here. And then here's what was really interesting to me. This stock went from $240 and then dropped all the way back down to its IPO price. It came all the way back down to this like $50 mark here, right next to this IPO mark. And the reason I was able to easily identify that is because I had a horizontal line of support at that IPO price. So now it's been almost over a year. That price has gone up and it has now come back down and tested that IPO price. That means they're supported that price, and that could be an opportunity to buy in. Next, I said, where is the next level of support? Where is this stock possibly going to run out if it runs out right away? And it was at this next level of resistance here that was established in November and December of 2019, where the stock basically traded within a channel. And you can see here in March of 2020, we clearly tested that support line, came back down, and then broke right through it. This is almost one of those triangle patterns, an ascending triangle. So if I was going to map this out, let's just do it right now. We can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3 peaks, and we've got 1, 2 different basically lows right here. So we've got an ascending triangle right here, and now I'm looking at this stock and it looks like it's about to break out of this ascending triangle, and that's when I want to get into it. So I'm going to exit this chart, I'm going to zoom into it. Let's look at it on 3 months, update that. And you can see here, we've got our ascending triangle, we've got 2 different lows here, we've got 1, 2, 3 peaks right here, and now we've got a day above that peak. My assumption now is we've bounced off the all-time low, we've broke through the support and resistance line that was here at the 70, and we formed an ascending triangle, and we just broke through the resistance at the top of that ascending triangle. Those are 3 super positive technical signs that I really like. On top of that, we had the RSI just come out of the oversold area. We had the MACD crossover. So super, super positive signs. And even better than that is the last 2 days have been higher trading volume than the 3rd day before that. So now we've got a breakthrough, and we've got 2 higher days of trading volume. We've got a positive looking MACD, we got a positive looking RSI, and I got 3 gigantic positive signals on the technical indicators just within the price movement in the support line, the breakthrough of the resistance at the 70 mark, and then the breakthrough of the ascending triangle. This, as clear as I can possibly be, is a buy signal that I now want to get into. So I've gone through the big picture, I've looked at the world economy, I've looked at the country's economy. I know that COVID-19 is going on and people are cooking more at home. Food is more important, and especially food that can be produced in a sustainable way. So I like the trend that's happening with Beyond Meat. I've checked my charts, and this is the one that I like the absolute best. It aligns with my strategy, and I'm going to put 5% of my portfolio into it. And now it's time to make the trade. So I'm going to RBC Holdings. And if you type in the ticker symbol right here, BYND, into the search bar, BYND, it comes up right here, Beyond Meats Inc. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy some of these shares. So the shares currently trade right now at $84. I'm going to buy probably 50 shares. If my internet would speed up here, that'd be great, but we'll see what happens here. So all that's going to happen is it's going to give me the symbol for Beyond Meat. I'm going to go in, I'm going to click buy, I'm going to insert my shares. I'm going to do it at a market order because it's currently during the day. The market is open right now. I'm going to execute onto that trade, and then if we go back into the charts here, I'm also going to put in my stop loss. So we're going to go in here and we're going to execute this trade if this pulls up, and then that stop loss I'm going to put in right below that 70 support line. So I'm probably going to put it in at 55 or 60. Here we go. Okay, so Beyond Meat 84.29, this US, what it costs right now. I'm going to go in and buy this. Okay, we're going to use practice account. I got 97,000 in there, so I'm going to buy 50 shares at the market price using US dollars. The order durations can be for the day. Special instructions are any part of it, and I'm putting it in at market price so that I can execute on it right away. I'm going to click continue. Here's my total. It's $4,200 United States, and I'm going to confirm that. I got to confirm it one more time. And now we have officially executed that trade. So now I am into that trade. We're done step 4 of our trading process. Now I want to go back to the chart and I want to figure out if I can mitigate my risk. How am I going to do it? And I think the best way to do it in here is going to be put in a stop loss. So what I want to do is I'm looking at this chart and I want to figure out at what point am I wrong? At what point is my total assumption just completely incorrect and I need to get out of this stock at a reasonable price? Well, I'm going to be fairly cautious on this one. I do think we're in a new bullish trend, so I think it's going to continue to go up. So right here is the top of my ascending triangle. I'm going to put it below that. Right here is my next support line at 70. I'm going to put it below that, and my absolute bottom is down here at the 45 mark. I'm going to put it above that. I'm going to put it right in the middle here, kind of at the 60 mark, maybe 55 here. I think 55, so that I can come down and test this low right here. But if we break through that low, I'm getting out. So I'm putting it at 55 right now, and I'm looking for an exit around that 120, 130 mark. So not too bad of a return here, definitely on the positive side, but I'm going to put that stop loss in there just in case. So let's go back into here. I'm going to go back to Beyond Meat. So this is us mitigating our risk. This is going in and saying, okay, we're in this trade now. We think it's going to go up, but if it goes down, at what point do I want to get out of it at? And we're going to preset that so that there's no risk. There's no us double guessing it. There's no second thinking it. It's just you committing to a plan. Okay, so we are going to sell our entire 50 shares of Beyond Meat at a limit. This is the key here. Instead of if you click market price, you're just going to get back out of those shares. You need to click limit price, and we're going to put it at $50.5 US. And we're going to put it to all or none, so that if this happens, we just completely get out of it. And that's what we want to do. That is the case, and that is the proof that we were wrong on our trade. We need to take that loss, we need to learn from it, and we just need to move on. So now we've got the buy order in there that should have executed already. For one, board lot or an odd lot cannot be processed with all. Oh, okay, it's not letting me do that because it's too small of a trade. That was the problem. So we're going to get in. We're going to execute this stop loss. Now this is going to be our risk mitigation to basically help us get out of that trade in the event that basically we were wrong on our trade. So here we go. Limit $55 US. Any part, it cost me $9.95 to make that trade, and if we get out, we'll get $27.40. So we lose about $1,000, but we don't lose the shirt off our back, and that's the goal here. So now we've mitigated our trade, we've got that, and now we're looking for our exit point. So we're in at 84, we're out at 55, and if we blow up this chart, I'm going to put it back to the 1 year time frame because it's a little bit nicer to look at. I definitely need to get some faster in. But that's okay. I'll give TELUS a call. So when we get it back, we're going to be basically looking for where do we think we can get out. Now, obviously, the next big point right here is this kind of 130 mark. That'll be the real test. Is when we get to that 130 point, is do we break through that 130 or do we hit that 130 and come crashing back down? So when you see the stock starting to go up and starting to climb to that 130 point, that is the point where you will really want to monitor it and stay on top of it, because that's where we're going to see the quick turnaround. Now, it keeps going up 140. The ultimate exit would be here at 240 again, or even own it until it continues. But if you could get out at 120, 130 here right before it approaches that resistance, I think that would be your ideal target to start with. Now, that was the entire execution and the risk mitigation. The last thing that you want to talk about is planning your exit. That's where you can, if you want, put in that preliminary trade that says get out at this 130 mark, and then you can set up your entire trade so you just sit there and see what happens, or you can follow it on a day-to-day basis. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is reviews. I've put together a lot of effort into making these videos, and I really enjoy it. I really like helping see people accelerate and learn new things, but it's taken a lot of effort and a lot of time. So if you've gained anything out of this course, please leave us a review.